Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips on YikesRadio.com and AcceleratorRadio.net. Here on the Poetry of Justice show, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying,
YikesRadio.com.
Guys, those are just the sultry sounds of my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash. And you know, I always love to give Mr. Nash a very special shout out because he's my mentor here and the owner of Accelerated Radio. So I like to give him a shout out. It's at YikesRadio.com, and we're in our 8th season, ladies and gentlemen. Rashid, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing just fine right now.
Just saw your face. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get the season 8 started because we're going to go ahead and get a very special shout out to Miss Lori G, the benefactor. How are you doing tonight, pretty lady?
I am doing well.
Season 8, what are your thoughts?
Season 8. I like that number 8. You know, it's like the infinity sign.
The figure 8. It's not half of 4.
It's half
You remember
of
that from Schoolhouse?
But you know, it's infinity forever turned on its side.
Yeah, look at us.
And that's the POJ show.
Forever. Can't stop, won't stop. And then look at us, guys. Humble beginnings. Are we back where we started here? Guys, in this room, where we'll talk about our new set here on Season 8 of the Poetry of Justice show. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Tanya Michelle in the house from the ladies of the chat. How are you doing tonight, pretty girl?
No complaints.
No complaints, no complaints. This show here is all about some amazing work you've been doing over this past week. You've been doing a lot of research, a lot of...
she has been our lead
investigator, right? Okay, right.
Our lead researcher.
You know about a research institution. So exactly, would that be like a district? What
you know,
that be
every
called?
Research team has a lead.
Okay.
And I think this week, Tanya Michelle's our lead.
I know, right? This is so exciting. Succulent Season 8.
Thank you.
Michelle. You're welcome. Anywho, this is going to be great times tonight on the Poetry of Justice show, ladies and gentlemen. We got Jackie Ray Phillips, who's on YikesRadio.com and AcceleratorRadio.net. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch us each and every Saturday night here live in Inglewood, California, ladies and gentlemen, where it all goes down. I would. Right, Tanya Michelle?
I would in the house.
Girl. Baller. Shoot.
Baller.
That damn rant. Y'all not messing around. No, y'all is. I'm scared. I used to be scared. I'm scared.
Joe and I went to the little movie theater over there. We was like,
Gorgeous.
what?
You said sugar boom boom.
Nice. It's nice.
It is gorgeous. Next level, huh?
Oh, it's next level.
It's the thing to do. Okay. Lord G, what you up to, Mamacita? Mamacita.
You know, I'm just trying to hold on. Just try to hang on here. Do you guys realize that we're like only a couple months away from Christmas?
I absolutely do.
Time is moving so very quickly.
It's just too much. Too fast, but we're going to make it happen, guys. You see it? The earth is traveling much faster.
Doesn't it seem like it was just summer yesterday?
It was just August. Hot AF.
I was just
112.
having my surgery.
Right.
Praise be to God for your healing.
And here we are. We're at Halloween. Isn't Halloween next week?
Halloween is in a couple weeks, and I think Jace is going to be
Not
Buzz
Jace. What is he gonna be?
Lightyear. Because he
Jace is
loves
gonna be
to
Buzz
do blast
Lightyear.
off. He loves blast off. So since he likes blast off, we're thinking Buzz. Mickey thinks he should. Miko tends to think he needs 4 or 5 Halloween costumes. I think that's a bit obsessive. But hey, I just think the kid needs maybe 1 or 2.
Isn't this a family full of ladies for all these boys?
All these boys.
Holy moly.
It's coming back. It's coming forward.
Yeah, we had all the ladies before, all the little ladies. And I sing to him, he know what I be singing to. All the little babies in Jay's land, all the little babies in Jay's land. And he just be looking at me like, my grandmama is a fool. My grandmama is. All the little babies in Jay's land, girl.
And when he's got a big sign said Jesus World.
So anyway, moving on, guys. So this is going to be a good night, Tanya Michelle. I'm going to stop chit-chatting with the fat man. And what do you think, Lord G? Because I just think you should tell everybody what's going on. This is Real Talk Live. Boom. On you.
Yes, I think You should tell us exactly. What is the name of our show this time? The Black Table.
The
Black Table
Talk.
The Black Table
Yeah,
Talk.
yeah.
Rashid, could you tell
So
everybody
we got
why
some table talk going on right
we're at the
now.
Black Table Talk tonight?
Now, for those that may not have caught on to the parody of what our title has been inspired by, we have been inspired by the very controversial show that is called the Red Table Talk, which is led by Jada Pinkett Smith and her family. But mostly Jada and I believe Jada and her mom. I think sometimes Willow be on there too.
The Willow's on there.
But yes, on that show, they speak like a lot of just controversial topics, and one of the main ones that was like a hot buzz at the time was the entanglement that happened when she got herself entangled with Mr. August Alsina, where he was young and now he's playing for the other team.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that, Sam?
What does that mean?
You don't know what playing for the other team?
I just want to make sure that our languages are the same.
Okay.
I mean, like, what you think it means is exactly
what it is.
what
It
it means.
is. Oh my God.
Not that that's problematic.
He
Right,
went
right.
from batting left to batting right.
Exclusively, or is he ambidextrous? Is that the word?
I
you
think
can use both.
Well, we'll see if he comes back to the other side or if he's a switch hitter. I don't know.
Okay. So.
That's as ambiguous as I can be
Oh my
without
goodness.
directly saying it.
But I think Jada's been on lots of Instagram posts, and she's like doing the circuit now.
I mean, it's a lot of courage, don't you think? A lot of spotlight. The whole thing with Chris Rock. Is it true that he tried to date her?
Yeah, so
That was word on the street.
So the reason why I thought this would be a good topic is just because I was like I think most of America was probably pretty pissed off at Jada when she came to the red table. You know, just kind of thinking it was kind of disrespectful.
In what way, Tanya? Elaborate if you don't mind.
Because it just seems like she was putting their marriage on blast. And, you know, I have this like sensitivity around marriage, and like she was putting.
So back up a bit for those of us who live in a shell, i.e., me. She came to the table and discussed the intimacies of her marriage.
And discussed her entanglement with August,
AKA she cheated.
that she cheated.
But how could you cheat if you're not together?
But then no one knew that.
Oh.
So back
That wasn't
then,
public knowledge.
Then that was not public knowledge. And so she went into, and you could tell that Will was very uncomfortable with the situation. We're like, my goodness, Jada, what are you doing? This is crazy. This is some bullshit, whatever. And so then all this other stuff started coming out. And then she goes on tour with her book where she tells her life story. And she's actually reading her autobiography, which I think is really...
It's worth me buying them on Amazon
I think so far it's really good.
You want a copy, Sissy?
I'm listening to the audio because the audio is really good, like Viola Davis is. So I'm listening to her audio
On Audible?
on Audible. So it's really good so far. I haven't even got to the point where her and Will have met, and I'm on like chapter 4 or 5. And then you start seeing all this stuff that says her and Will have been separated since 2016. I'm thinking, my God, and that they had decided at that point that they were going to live separate lives. And you start
In
saying
2016.
she has her own home and all this. And you're like, okay.
So they had separate homes, too?
Separate homes.
On the same compound or just completely different cities? Like she's in New York, he's in Vegas.
Probably same city,
Right, but different.
but different locations.
compounds, right.
And they made the decision to do that.
Right, they just didn't announce it.
They just didn't announce
To the world.
to the
Plus, fact, mama, I think Will wanted to try to make things work mostly because kids.
Yeah.
And they had made this promise that they would never get a divorce and they would always work through stuff. And this was her way of working through. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. Then I watched the YouTube. And then I had a whole different perspective on Jada.
In what regard?
Because what she said, I could completely understand as a young woman getting married.
Which was?
She said that at the age of 23, she married Will, and their goal was to make him the biggest movie star in the world. And she didn't know that that meant basically that that's all that they would be doing. And she basically lived in his shadow for years. And when she got to the age of 40 is when they started having their problems. I remember at 40, like he gave her this big old party. She didn't want it. He built this house called her house. She didn't want it. And 40 was like the pivot point where she decided that she was going to commit suicide. She was on top of a mountain somewhere in Santa Barbara thinking, how can I drive off and it not look like suicide? She was very unhappy. And she was saying, who is Jada? What can I do for Jada? Am I happy? All these type of things as women, because she felt like she had given so much to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they separated. And when she went to the red table, her and Will had decided they were going to go together so she wouldn't look like she was having this big old affair, because August was starting to talk, and Will backed out at the last minute and said his social image was everything. And her being Jada and her being a martyr decided to go ahead and protect his image and go forward with it, because that was her story, her truth, and she was trying to move on from the relationship. She was actually trying to move on from the relationship. And just the things that she was saying in the video about being married, and just what she was saying, there's people who are living together in the same house who are doing the same thing me and Will are doing, but they're in the same house faking it. There's people in the same house in two separate bedrooms, and we're doing it separately. And how people judge people's marriages, and it's not their business. And it's so true.
That is very true. It's not your business.
And she was like, and so just because we're on this platform doesn't mean that we can't settle our marriage the way that we want to settle it. And I did not like him. I did not want to be with him. I didn't want to be with his personality. And I wanted to take care of me as a woman. And I was like, I get that. I get that.
The part I don't get.
She could go in hard.
But then why are we married?
Because we made a pact.
Sometimes, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand that
Maybe
part.
that's because
Women stay for financial reasons. Obviously, that's not a concern for Jada. Women stay because they want their nuclear family to be together. Obviously, they're not doing that because they're in two separate places. So, I don't. Did she speak about why I stay?
I don't know.
Because you're really not. You're being divorced.
I don't. The only thing that I was uncomfortable with was she was saying that they were living their separate lives and they were doing as though they were not married, but they were still married. I was like, that's kind of sketchy. Right?
Okay, so I got some stuff, some clips that we can listen to, just so that we can get a better.
Try to get whatever you can from Jay Shay. Jay Shay.
Oh, okay. I mean, like if you want to go with the whole Jay Shay, we can skip around a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
To
Skip
actually
around.
get a idea of the conversation. This is Jay Shay on Jada Pinkett Smith opening up on her marriage and struggling with dark thoughts.
That was a really, really, painful time. I'm sorry.
Please welcome Jada.
And you talking to me about it. And that moment, I was like, okay, I need you to take that home and I need you to think about it, because Jay's your brother. There's something here that you might not be seeing. And it was really that moment that put me on pause. And a couple of days later.
So Jay Shay he's one of those guys who's very into purpose, healing, doing your work. He was going to be a monk. He was raised a monk, and he decided that he didn't want to be a monk anymore because he wanted to get married. So he's the one who introduced Jada to her healing journey.
Okay.
And so this is what she's talking about right there.
Okay.
Later, I was in meditation, and it came to me. And I said, oh my goodness, my journey from unlovable to lovable is a worthy story to tell. And I called you and I said, Jay, I got it. Thank you. But you were so persistent about it, right? And I just want to thank you, because honestly, and I'm not, if it hadn't been for that moment, that book wouldn't be here right now. right? And you really were on my neck about it for a long time. So I just want to say thank you, because you also made it clear. You were like, you made it clear to me I would get a lot out of it, and I have. So I just want to say thank you. It's been such a deep healing process for me in ways that I could have never imagined, And what you said before, we even started in the introduction, just that hope of, it's so hard to find authentic happiness in this world. Even through my journey, my 52 years, and just trying to figure out how to be authentically happy has been such an excruciating process. And one of the purposes of this book is like, if I can help in any small amount of way, in any way possible.
Okay, hold on.
What's that, Rashi? I see you bubbling.
Okay. So you were trying to find happiness throughout your entire 52 years. You were trying to find happiness.
But not just happiness, because I jotted that down, which I
Authentic.
think is really interesting.
Authentic
Authentically
happy.
happy. So what does that mean? What does that mean to the group here?
I think to truly be happy outside of what it looks like, outside of the material stuff.
I think maybe authentically happy is taking off the actor's mask. Because we know you're an actor. You should be an actor. Really. I'm just saying, because we know how to. You're an actress, actor, by theatrical trade. So I'm thinking when she says authentic self, is taking all of that off, right? Just all of that off. And writing that reality about what she misses. Sounds like the love of her life who died prematurely.
She said that there's
What you
a thing that said her and Pac didn't have that type of relationship.
Hold on. Let me actually get
No intimacy, no anything.
a clip of that. Like,
She says they were just
Right, you're fine.
This main clip right
Still
here.
be
And soulmate as a friend
I've had friends that the non-sexual friends are
is more powerful than the
right
sexual
because of some other deeper reason.
connection.
Authentically, right? Get it?
Okay, let's hear what you have to say on Tupac asking to marry her.
Oh, he did ask to marry you?
Well, let's hear it.
So
A lot of people might not know, but he proposed to you while he was in jail.
I talk about this in the book when I go to see him in Rikers, when I wrote about that in the book, and when I had to talk about it, speak my words for the audible version of the book. That was probably one of the more painful parts, seeing him there, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there. And he was in bad shape. And so when he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. And I knew at that time that he needed somebody to do time with him, which I was going to do anyway. You didn't have to marry me to do time. Right? I'm here.
Now you see why we love you.
And then he needed a rock. He needed, because of our friendship and because of everything we have been through together, he just wanted to feel that solidified foundation, because I promise you, he would have married me and divorced me as soon as his ass left jail. He would have.
Right.
I'll be real with it.
Right. Because so many people in that position don't have support.
Right.
None at all.
None. And
I get that.
Okay.
Married for content.
Girl.
Right.
Well, you. Okay.
No, I mean, really.
I wouldn't even tell that story.
I wouldn't. Because I
Play
think
like
it's
a sister like me, because I'd be like, oh, so you only want to marry me, fool, because of this situation.
Right.
So we wasn't out. You weren't talking that shit. So you really think I'm gonna marry you right now, nigga? But I don't even want nobody to know that he tried to play me like that. Just me.
But I think like maybe
I'm just saying it's
there's
okay
another
to talk about.
depth to the relationship because
Depth
you
to
know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you know.
I'm just saying.
But I get it now. I understand.
It's
it.
not like
I
right when you was
understand
at the
concept.
height of gangster party, and you like, girl, let's do this.
Yeah, no,
She
it's,
talks-
it's
she
not
talk-
that.
I'm just saying. I'm
It's not
just
that.
being,
But I
you know,
think what she's
facetious.
saying is true. He just wanted to know that in his mind that was a way to have somebody there,
Right.
and that's not right.
No.
Right, because she said there was a situation where people were. She was like, "You like me? Kiss me. You kiss me," and he was like, and they were like, and they couldn't even figure out how to kiss because of what they didn't have no chemistry. So for him to ask her to marry
Okay, so
him,
remember there was
But
somebody
I
told me,
got-
Tanya, did you tell me about your book she wrote? Her mama, please come back Tupac from the dead to marry my mama. Remember that?
The little girl.
So what the fuck is that come from? If you this lady is all over the fucking chart. Something ain't right. I'm gonna shut up.
come back and marry my mama because she's not happy without you here. She
Right.
did.
Right. And so like
So Willow
But
has some BS?
I think that's true.
But why is you even talking to Willow about your mom, your situation with Pac like that?
Why is she even talking to Willow about a lot of stuff?
I'm just saying.
I mean, that's
Oh,
why
shut
we
up.
question why she's at the Red Table Talk, but you know, I digress. When it comes to this, the way that I see it, because it's just like there's obvious that like she had love for Tupac. That's a given. Like the love that she had for Tupac will probably be honestly the greatest love that like she'll ever have. And the way things look and the way things have transpired just from what we've seen the past 3 years, like it just seemed like Will wasn't gonna be able to fill that void that the death of Tupac had on
her.
on Jada's life.
even
I don't know.
because they
I don't
hadn't
think I
talked-
buy
They
that.
hadn't even talked in a year and a half
Mm-mm.
before he died. I think that,
But she's still affected by it.
yeah, I mean, and that happens in life.
Right.
It just happens.
She said it happened.
I mean, it just does.
But I think also too, you know, I think you have to have the context of things, right? So I don't know if that was so much romantically with Tupac. Maybe me asking you to marry me is like she said, to help me do this time so that I can come down here and visit you and we can, you know, even the conjugals means we don't have to be intimate, but I'm not in the cell every day. This is a place where I get to go out. You get to cook outside food for me. And you know what I'm saying? So it could be more of that.
And I trust,
Like she
and I
said, doing
trust
time
you.
with you.
And
Right.
I trust you, right?
Yeah.
But she talks about, and this thing I thought was so important about the romantic love, that we get caught up in romantic love, and that's what she found herself getting caught up in romantic love. And romantic love never stands the test of time.
No, I don't understand that.
Romantic love, as far as the sexual part of romantic love, the friendship, the communication, the knowing each other,
See,
is
I
what
don't think
weathers
that's romantic.
everything.
That's
because
lustful.
Will did say that
She's
like,
called it
back when
romantic.
she didn't really
That's
like
lust.
having, you know, like a lot of action. I think Will did say that, which was kind of
She-
weird.
She didn't like what?
Like she didn't like having like a lot of sex. Where it's like if you're in a marriage, you know, like y'all work things out the way that y'all work things out. It just seemed like I don't know, like when y'all aren't, you know, like there to, you know, because okay, hold on.
Just saying. 'Cause
What,
I'm
right,
struggling with what
shit.
you're trying
To
to
work where we talk to.
The way that I think of a marriage, I think of a unionship, a partnership when it comes to like taking care of each other's needs, needs and desires when it comes either through financial, where because they were at the tippy top of the of the pyramid, or when it comes to sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like one person didn't like being a player in that sexual game.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems It just
But
seems
I-
weird to me.
Well, I think for me, I go back to my soapbox that I'm always on, right? Marriage is a contract, right? It's a contract. And so we tend to project into definitions of marriage our perspectives, right? But we don't know the contract that the two of them had. Maybe it was not a lustful or a sexual contract, right? They could have had a marriage that wasn't constituted or centered around that. I don't know. That doesn't have to be a premise.
When she finished reading this book, it's just so much in this thing. And Will wrote the letter to her and said, Jada, I'm so proud of you for telling your truth. If I had known this 30 years ago, I would have hugged you more. That's what he wrote at the end of this, Jay Shay.
Okay.
And Jay Shay asked Jada, what do you think that means? And she said, I think he would have been there for me more. In saying that, sex for a woman is completely different than what it is for a man. I don't care if you're the biggest man on the moon running this, that, and I got everything that I need. You still got to take care of me. And she said that there was many times they were so busy pushing for him that she almost didn't even exist. She almost didn't even exist as a woman. So if he's popping in and popping out and doing this, maybe she didn't. Maybe because it's all assumption. Maybe she didn't want to have just sex on just pop in, pop out, because it took more than that. Maybe she wanted more than that. I mean, and I think marriage is so complex. I just think that after seeing that, I can't judge her as hard as I was judging her before. I just can't.
I'll let Will say what he had to say regarding the...
And we mad at her, and Will saying thank you. You know, you my best friend.
Because he's being the supportive.
But what else is he supposed to be?
Right.
I mean, you tell me. What else is he supposed to be?
We can say that it's
Will knows who he has been in that marriage.
Yeah,
and we don't know. We don't know.
But even by him writing a letter and saying, I would have hugged you more, right? Mm-hmm. I think that is like, I didn't know that maybe you were contemplating suicide.
Or your life was so hard.
Or that your life, or that our supporting, or the plan that we worked out together was so difficult for you to execute, right? So I think a lot of times, I know if I reflect on situations in my life, you know, you're like, gosh, I wish I had done more of this when that person's gone and taken away. So I don't know. And then I wonder, like, how much of this is just publicity and hype for you selling this book and writing this book?
Right.
Because some of the things aren't connecting for me in terms of the thing with Willow. Why your daughter comes out and asks Tupac, I wish you could come up from the dead because my mom ain't happy. She only loves you, and the letter you wrote. And how does she even know Tupac at that rate? You know, so those are things that I don't know.
Right, and it's just we don't really know like the full detail. Well, we know some of the stuff because it's been put out in open by them,
but through a lens. That's the other part you gotta keep in mind.
Right, and it's through a very focused lens. I don't know. This is just a very messy situation on the outside, and then we have to also look at during the time that like they were probably seeing each other. Vagabond Will was on the rise, going from the Fresh Prince, Vagabond, and he was going up. Meanwhile, Jada wasn't really like in like a lot of things. Now, is that
but that could have been a part of the contract?
I think it was
because Jada was doing stuff. It wasn't like she was not working.
I'm not saying that like she wasn't, but it's just like the type of roles that like she had compared to Will, like there's a big gap between like what Will was able to get to compared to what Jada was able to get through.
But we don't know. I get her point on that, right? It's like women do that. And it pisses us off when men don't acknowledge that, right? Mm-hmm. So for us to propel you forward took all of our time, energy, and attention to do that. And a repercussion of that is that I'm lagging behind. We see that in salaries, we see that in promotions, we see that all the time, which
And
really sucks.
responsibilities around the house.
Right.
Right.
That sucks for women.
Mhm.
Right, and it's just like I don't know if that was an entire Will thing. I'm not sure if that was a Hollywood thing. There could be many factors.
I think at the time that she grew up she was raised by her grandparents. And one of the things that for me that I noticed is that my aunties and my aunties who were married, they had a different take on marriage than the women of today.
I think I'll get to that clip. That'll be the next clip.
Yeah. So when you're raised by matriarchs like that, you go into your marriage thinking differently of how you should be as a woman. And she went in going to enter her marriage thinking like her grandparents, that type of woman.
Right, but also too, I mean, I don't know, I haven't read the book, but according to her, is that the kinship that started between her and Tupac was because they both had parents who kind of dabbled in drugs, right? And so sometimes drugs create that sense of instability, and maybe that's why the grandparents are so very involved. And so an idea of your own marriage and your own nesting, right, kind of interrupts and changes that trajectory. And because of this matriarchal influence and what your grandparents had, is you put the man forward, right? So I can see that. You put him forward. And I'm going to dabble a little bit and do a look. Because Jada wasn't a bad actress, you know? So, and I think when Will started out, he wasn't a great actor. But, you know, through time and training and all of that, you grow.
And I'm wondering, it was so inappropriate for her to talk to Willow. And I don't even remember how old Willow was then. But I'm wondering if in that world, who do you talk to that you trust? And not saying that she should have talked to her daughter. But I can tell you that my daughter has probably been a part of some conversations that she probably shouldn't have been a part. Right? Just about me and her dad. Right? That I look back and I thought, if I could have changed it all over again, would she have known that? Right? And in a world when you're depressed and you're feeling you're alone and you're not liking your husband, you do this, and you have a world when you're married to America's sweetheart, who can do no wrong, and who do you talk to?
And you're with your children all the time.
And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that it is. I was watching Club Shay Shay with Tommy Davidson last night. They asked, what do you think happened to Will? And he said it was fear, it was this. Him and Jada wasn't together. He was getting ready to go up there. You know, he was probably, getting ready to win this Oscar. He had a lot going on, a lot of stress in his life. And he said, and he did not show up well for himself that day. And he said, all of us have days that we don't show up well. It's just that you can't afford to do that when you're in the public eye, right?
Right.
And so, you have to have some grace and sensitivity around stuff like that. And so I'm not saying, when I look back, I think Jada did a lot of things wrong that I think I probably wouldn't have done. But what do you do? Because she couldn't have told no one that Will did anything wrong.
Right. All right. So let's listen to what Will had to say, and then we'll get back to actual Jada opening up about her actual upbringing.
I literally said to Jada, that's it. I retire. I retire from trying to make you happy. I need you to go make yourself happy and just prove to me that it's even possible. And after we cracked the hell up, we started talking about, we came into this false romantic concept that somehow when we got married that we would become one. And what we realized is that we were two completely separate people on two completely separate individual journeys, and that we were choosing to walk our separate journeys together. But her happiness was her responsibility, and my happiness was my responsibility. Me and Jada was reflecting about love. I literally said
that
to
so
Jada,
well, but I want to start off of what
So yeah, we.
That has a lot to unpack.
Okay, let's unpack.
I mean, I get some of the part of my happiness is my responsibility because I'm the owner of that, right? I can choose to be more engaged to try to find things that are unhappy. But how can your life's partner say they don't have any responsibility for that? I don't think I don't think that is a fair assessment.
I
If
think
this is my life partner,
I get that, but I also come from the point of everybody has a happiness, and there's only so much that the other person can actually do to actually try to make you happy if you yourself are unwilling to be happy. There's only so much that person can do to make you happy if you don't want to be happy.
I get that, but I think his language choice is not a great choice.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is that, I mean, have you ever talked to somebody and it's like, God damn, no matter what happens, you just a miserable ass so and so. And I think that's what she was giving him.
Okay.
And so she she talks about that. And he's like, you know what? I'm trying. I can't do nothing else for you. You need to figure out what's going on in you, because I'm doing everything I think I'm supposed to do, everything you asked me to do, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough. So when you hear nowadays, you know what? You need to come to when you meet somebody, you need to come as whole as you can, as healed as you can, as much as your traumas healed as you can. Come as a whole individual with this whole individual. But if you come half broken, you half broken, y'all just broken. Mm-hmm. And I think he's saying, go figure out you and heal your individual. I'll heal my individual, and then we come together as one. His words, I do agree, Lori, seemed a little bit crafty, but I think that's what he's saying. I think that's
well. I do believe you have to decide, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's part of the depression.
I think that's
part of the depression, and I think that your life partner should help lead you to the support that you need,
if they can. I think that's some expert shit.
Yeah, but even to say
That's
like
where
my wife needs some support that I'm not equipped to give her, right?
You sweet, because I've told Joe, you fucked up and somebody needs to talk to you. And I ain't the one. I mean, can we be real up in here? What the fuck? What you mean? I mean, come on. What we talking about? I told Joe, you crazy. You need some help. You ain't never told nobody that? Me about that? Okay.
Oh no, I'm not talking. I'm not telling Mimo.
I'm on the island on my own, y'all. Me and Jada need to write the damn book.
No, if I go.
I done divorced Joe 10 times in my head.
There is the thought process where like you have to keep it real with somebody, but just like Dave Chappelle said, there are times when keeping it real can go very wrong.
Right.
Could go
right.
Wrong.
When I decided that at 40 that I decided not to cook no more, and I didn't do it right. I just said, fuck it, do it. Joe was like, maybe you should go talk to somebody about what you're going through. Because he couldn't help me go through it. Mm-hmm. I mean,
but that's not what Will
I don't know
said.
if he's saying it that calm. He like, maybe you need to figure out what the fuck is going on with you.
No, see, he said it nice. That's not the way Will is saying it. Shit, that's
right. I'm just saying, I don't know, and I get it. I get that. This is like an excerpt in time. We don't have all the context. It's
right.
Plus,
plus
but living two separate lives.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
They're two separate individuals on two separate journeys.
Right.
Right. So
I don't know, where the hell do marriage come into that?
But you're taking those journeys together.
Separately.
Keeping your individuality.
Right.
I don't understand that. Is that even possible?
You're an individual, but we're going on this journey together.
I never heard that.
I have.
He said there's individuality.
Huh?
I said that's okay. I mean, new things. You got to try new things.
You can't lose yourself in that person.
Right, because the idea of just becoming this one entity, they said that it didn't work for them. So like they saw themselves as two completely different people.
You know they're getting back together, right? They're not.
Getting what?
That's
What?
toxic. I'm sorry. That's
No,
toxic.
I mean, I don't think.
Have they ever been apart?
Have they ever been? I don't know.
Because
Are
they're
they-
separate but together.
apparently
Well, she moved back in the big house.
apparently they've
They
been
just playing,
separated.
girl, making
since
money.
2016.
strategically right around this book, huh?
That part.
Oh yeah,
I ain't mad at you. I ain't
But that
mad at
strategy,
you.
and
Just like,
then like what? Like they were separated even after he did the slap the Chris Rock.
They
Mm-hmm.
were not together at that point.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So why'd you get up there and
Yeah,
slap
But
him?
I don't know.
But-
it's too much for me to process.
But in the words of Jada, I was surprised when Will said,
I was your
"Keep
wife.
my wife's name out
She's-
your fucking mouth."
She was surprised when he used the word wife. He had not referred.
Why? She said in the little excerpt here that we will always be married, right? That was the key. The key is that we need to be married. So people who are married are husband and wife. So how the heck are you shocked?
But people
That
are
he
married,
called you
don't
your
date other
wife.
people. Either that whole thing is crazy.
I don't even know what going on there. I'm not sure what's true, what's false. I'm not sure if you were able to get with Margot Robbie. I don't know if she was able to get with whoever.
I just do like people doing the hood. We just ain't together no more. We still married. I got a cousin who stayed married for I don't know 15
still ain't.
to she. I don't even know if she divorced right now. But she ain't been with that dude in 35, 40 years.
Because
But see,
because
Will.
they
Black
know
people sometimes
divorce is
just don't
extreme.
get married. Don't divorce. We just apart.
But she talks about how Will's social image was everything, and he did not want to break it,
Okay, so
and so they did not tell people.
Well, she did everything to help destroy it.
because she was sick of being a martyr to his request.
It's like a personal issue, but
Again,
let's
going back to what Will just said, bitch, what the fuck do you need to be happy, ho? You feel me? We done heard Lord help me. I didn't just say that on here. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, on the real deal, holy. I mean, Will.
That's right.
All right. So,
No, I get that. I agree.
And she knew it. She said, "This is really good." She said, "I was jacked up."
okay.
So you still in?
So
she's
let's
better.
listen to her dealing with
In all of this, she's jacked up because Will was a bigger movie star than her? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think because she
She spent her whole career making him a martyr?
No, she was a martyr. I think because
Come on, that's Black Woman 101.
all right.
At least he was.
but that don't mean you like it.
Right, but that don't mean that I go that.
Well,
I
you
should
don't
use
have a
that
platform.
word.
Ain't nobody gonna listen to us.
Well, I don't know. I mean, keep it real about it. I don't know.
What?
I'm just like, I don't understand this. We gotta stay married.
But that's their contract.
And you know, and we're separate but together.
Yeah, I don't like that part.
That's I don't get that.
All right. So let's listen to her talk about her young parents who struggle with addiction.
What does it feel like growing up with a teenage mom who has an addiction? Like, I think that is so formative in so many ways, and it's so easy to forget that that's where you started because of your career.
Growing up with my mother, a teenage, it was like we grew up together. It's almost like having a big sister. I mean, even to this day, you know, it's like I get to have two roles in my mom. Like, sometimes she's still my big sister, and then sometimes she really comes in like as my mother. You know what I mean? As you saw in the book, it's like I had all this freedom, running crazy in the streets and what have you, but there was such pivotal moments where Adrienne came to the rescue as my mother, right? And she still does that to this day. But it was, you know, I did a lot of having to raise myself. And there are parts of that, there's pros and cons to that. There's a lot of pros. It's like that is the part that made it possible for me to come to LA at the age of 18 on my own and figure this Hollywood game out, right? Just with no fear, completely fearless. But then also kind of growing up with certain ideas of what I thought love was, or certain survival mechanisms that, you know, as I got older, didn't quite serve me. But I think that we all have that, no matter what our family background is. You know what I'm saying? We all kind of pick up things that along the way that don't serve us for the entirety of our journey. I tell you, I learned a lot having a young mom. At an early age, I really do think that even with our trials and our challenges, that the Great Supreme gave me the mom I was supposed to have and the most perfect mother and the journey that I was supposed to have to prepare me for other parts of my journey. But, you know, it was challenging and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, and I love Gammy, so I just want to put that.
Yeah, we all love Gammy. We all love Gammy.
Yeah, and but it's really interesting. There's one line in your book that really kind of cemented that feeling of unlovable to me from that time. And you said there was a time when you felt like you were not being a priority to the two people who gave you life.
Yeah.
Like
That was
line,
hard.
That
Yeah.
really hit me because I was like,
Yeah, that was probably really difficult. And like you had two parents who drugs were their focus and the lifestyle that came with it. You know, I also talk about in the book when my father told me at 7 years old, I can't be your father. And it's just like, wow, okay, what do I do with this?
what does a 7-year-old do with that?
You just kind of internalize it and you kind of go, okay, what's wrong with me? What?
Okay, that's a good amount to just unpack there. Just with the parental upbringing, the first name basis of your mom being the sister, basically switching from being like a sister to being to actually being a mom, and then she felt
So her mother was a young mother and a drug addict.
yes,
I
parents.
thought the grandparents raised her,
Because her mother was a young mother and a drug addict.
but she still had a relationship with her mom.
Her mother still kind of lived in that basement with her grandmother.
Oh, so they still.
And
were
then
in
her mother
the place.
ended up being okay, married a guy who became like the best father for her, for Jada. But
her mother got off.
of drugs, became a nurse, but then struggled with heroin. But younger when the mother and father were together. They only were married for like 3 months or 4 months. But he was like back and forth. I'm only that part of the book. I haven't got past that part, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's. I don't know. That's very interesting.
But I do believe that if you feel rejected and you don't feel loved, I do think those things can carry on into relationship and you go in looking for the wrong things.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And so that's I don't think that's a healthy way to start a relationship. And I don't know what that looks like going into it, if you ever can continue to add or you continue to subtract in a relationship, for yourself.
I don't understand that.
Like, you go into a relationship, you're already unhealthy, you don't know self-love, you start love at a negative.
But you don't know you're unhealthy
until you know. And I think that exactly.
I'm just saying, you don't know you're unhealthy.
You don't know you're unhealthy until you know. And I think that
Is this that
appears
revelation?
to be the pivotal point for her at 40.
All right. So
Where she thought, I'm not happy. She's not happy.
And so you're saying at 40 is when she took the ownership of it?
She started taking off. She said 40 is when her and Will first actually separated. And they were going
She
back
said
and
52
forth.
now, right?
Yeah, she said she's 52.
okay, so let's continue.
It's not even the belief that they don't love me or love me enough. It's the belief that somewhere inside I am not lovable.
Yes.
Right? It's so inside you. It's not even about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like I'm not valuable. I'm not.
Yeah,
Right.
it's because that's your mirror at first, right? But it's so complicated and nuanced. Do I believe my father loved me? Of course, in the way that he could. I think that he felt the most loving thing he could do was tell me, I can't be your father. And I respected that, even at 7, because I was like, at least somebody's telling me the truth. I've always respected hardcore truths. That is one thing about me. I respect hardcore truths. Doesn't mean I always like them, but I freaking respect them.
At 7.
At
like
7.
that lesson started.
That's a gangster hardcore truth to tell a child. But then at the same time,
At the time, I'm imagining he was high. I hope he was high when he said that. Am I true?
He was something. But I
Who
think
says that? Remember, like in Ricky Bobby, and then later on down the movie, when he spent his whole career saying,
you laugh.
"Makes you laugh," and then
But
his
that's-
daddy was
but
like,
that's
"I was
deep.
high when I told you that." What are you talking about? I'm just saying, who tells their baby I can't be your father? What the hell? That's traumatizing right there. Girl, just imagine if daddy just looked at us and was like, "Shawty, check this out, player. I ain't your daddy no more." I mean, who does that? That's
Andrew.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just jaded tonight, aren't I?
No, there's a lot there.
All right, let's continue for this clip. And
I don't know how that relates to the martyr, but okay.
Then I'll move forward.
I think it more relates to her mother.
Actually, we can move
Protected her
forward a little bit. This one might be a bit of a trigger warning. Just a heads up.
What's that?
This is her talking about some of the thoughts that she had when it pertained to suicide.
Okay.
About how you were, and this broke my heart. You were talking about how you were planning taking your life, but then how it could look like an accident.
yeah, that was 2011. That was my 40th birthday. My 40th year, actually.
When I was reading that, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, what were you hoping that would achieve? Like, what were you hoping that would solve? Talk us through that.
Yeah, it's funny because when you're in those states, you're not clear. It's not like it's going to make rational sense, right? You want out of the pain, and you cannot imagine your only way out is death. You think in your mind you've tried everything, and you're like, it's all I got. I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. And so that's your only solution. And I tell people all the time, you know, we've had a lot of different spotlighted people who've taken their life. People call, I cannot believe it. And I'm like, you just never know what somebody's going through. And there are certain people that have a high tolerance for being able to put on a good face in order to not burden people.
Mm.
But what is really interesting is that when you have a plan, sometimes that gives you enough energy to just keep going because you're like, okay, I got a good plan.
Mm.
So if this gets really bad, I know where to go.
Mm.
And you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep trying to figure this out. But I got this plan. And it's really tough because you don't want to, for personalities like myself, you don't want to burden anybody. And you're like, look, if I can't figure out how to get out of this, nobody else is going to be able to figure this out either.
Mm.
That was a really, really painful, it's a really painful time. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, Jada.
I'm really grateful that I found a way out. But I think about people who don't find it. And I wish there was like one thing I could say, one piece of advice, you know, like what would you tell somebody in a situation like that? And all I can ever say is please just keep going,
Mm.
keep trying, keep walking, trust. Because if you trust, and I know how difficult it is, you know, for people who are in it, like that's easy for you to say. But if you keep trusting, the universe will open a door. And I know how hard it is to just wake up and keep it going. Because for me, it was hard just waking up in the morning. If I could get to 4 o'clock, I was like, okay, you made it another day.
Mm.
Being able to have enough strength to just get up, get out of bed, put clothes on, get through your day, and let no one know that you're struggling, it is so hard. I feel
Alrighty. I am totally down in the dumps, but I'm just
Okay.
I mean, so I don't know what.
Yeah, that's very heartfelt, and
It's so unfortunate.
it
I'm
is.
just thinking. It's just sad. I feel sorry. I really do. I mean, you know
And
what I
I
mean?
think
Because
a
it's
lot
like,
of women, though, a lot of women struggle with that,
with what part?
with having to, pretend that you're okay.
Yeah.
Pretend that you're okay. I think there was a pastor at Taylor's church that did this series called Behind the Lipstick. Have you heard that?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember her name. And that's true. There's just so much. There's a mask that lots of women wear.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. Well,
And you
alrighty
do
then.
feel there's no escape.
Is there no escape? Possibly, possibly not. Huh? What do you think? So do you just get a bunch of Augusts?
I think the
So
the
what you?
part
What were
is
you?
that
Oh,
you can
you see what I'm
change.
saying? So when did August come along? And you got out of that mode of depression and suicide.
I don't have a timeline.
I don't know, but I do believe that right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever it was, is whatever she needed at the moment.
Right. Right.
And it don't look good, because I keep breaking this up into pockets. I get mad at her, I get sad. I get mad at her. No, honestly, I get mad, I get sad.
I remember the text messages. That's why I was like,
My-
okay,
my
are we
heart
with her
goes-
today? Are we not with her?
No, I go back and forth because I think that's just life, right?
Right. Yeah.
We
Authentic.
authentic, right? Because here, a person like this, how do you consistently live with them in a space of happiness if they're going through this day and out? I know if I'm in a sad mood or I'm going through something, you're not tapping into me, who I am every day. That how do you can't, if she's going through this and this is what she's going through the year, you're not being that's not who he married.
It was who he's married.
But I'm saying she wasn't depressed and suicidal when they first married. I think she was depressed she didn't want to marry him. She clearly didn't want to marry him.
That's what I'm saying. So what are we doing? What are we talking?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
well,
What
she
you
didn't
know?
want to marry him.
She was pregnant when she got married, and
She's pregnant for him.
Mhm. And her her mother's
It was a shotgun wedding.
her mother's
Yeah.
mother,
Her grandmother.
her grandmother made her father marry the mother because her mother was pregnant, and they divorced like 4 months later. She did not want to get married because she was pregnant, and her mother pretty much was like, "This is what you do. You got to get married because you're pregnant." And they said
She's Jada.
but they said she cried all the way down the aisle.
Okay, so stop
That's what I'm
sign.
saying,
Stop
like,
sign. Just a minute.
Shabalati.
Why? I mean,
Girl.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just messed
just
up.
turn around.
But I
have
think.
some underlying.
But you don't have to live in these people's house. You don't have to follow these people's rules. You
Who
got
knows?
your own success, your own money. I get it. Like, maybe her grandmother had to do that because she didn't have no money.
Right.
She didn't have no access. She didn't have any influence. She didn't have any empowerment. But now, I don't understand that.
I think that's what it is. She never said no to anybody what they wanted for her life.
But you moved to LA, the city of sin, at 18?
And then went back. Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, she 18. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it differently.
I did what I had to do.
Maybe
If
I'm
daddy
looking
was
at-
dead, we had to make money.
Make
Move.
money.
Like, mama and daddy dead. I need this money. Lawyer USC. You know what I'm saying? We did what we had to do, sissy.
All right, so let's listen to what she had to say on
Okay.
her journey to Hollywood and some of the disappointment that happened in Hollywood.
And this is at 18, right?
I'm going to assume yes.
Before I'm pregnant for Will.
Mhm.
Does this take a moment? Okay, a moment.
You gonna break it down for one time, but one time.
I'm just trying to say, like,
Hold on,
so
Dagoma, let me zoom in on you real quick.
you're courageous enough, as you said, those were your words, right? That you were courageous, fearless is the word we use.
Yes, you did say.
Right? We were fearless because of a young mother who struggled with drug addiction and was more like a friend than a mother, made you fearless to come here by yourself at 18 and figure out this Hollywood game, which the Hollywood talk thing is a trip, right? But then you feel
I don't
compelled
think
to
she stayed,
marry JoJo because your grandma said you had to?
I didn't say her grandma said she
I'm
had
just
to.
saying. I don't
Her mama did.
Yeah, but you know,
That just doesn't. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like
I think it
different
doesn't make sense
dichotomy.
to you, but there are people who are heavily influenced by
I
their
know.
families. Regardless of money status or whatever, they don't want to disappoint their families.
So her family was like,
I think
go
her,
out
I
to
think
Hollywood
her mother,
and do
no,
that.
as far as a pregnancy and being married.
Oh.
As far as a pregnancy and being married.
Let's hear what she has to say.
You disagree?
I do. I do.
Heavily disagree.
Is this
Because
50,
she used the
almost
word.
60-year-old
I don't know.
Lori disagreeing or
No.
just 23-year-old
No, I'm just
Lori
saying. No,
disagreeing?
it's really, to keep it real. It's
Every
she
Lord, yeah.
used the word. She used the word gangster.
She did.
She
Yeah.
used that word.
She did.
So this is gangster Lord.
That's
That's
right.
what this is.
Lori G.
I know.
Lori G.
I know what that
Lori
means.
G.
I know what those decisions are,
Mm.
and I know what gangsters do.
Mm.
You ain't walking down that aisle if that ain't what you want to do.
Yeah. True that.
Just saying.
Sometimes you got to take the bullet.
Sometimes you got.
Sometimes you got to
gotta
die.
take
Y'all saying she ain't a real gangster.
I'm not saying.
I'm just saying, maybe not from like Compton way. I'm just saying.
Baltimore.
I'm just saying a lot of it's not adding up.
But let's see what she said. Let's see
I
what
know.
she said.
You know, we
You
pretty
could move to LA
hardcore
when you were
Lori.
18 and break that mold, and that you didn't have to fall into the pattern of everyone around you. And at the same time,
Did you just hear this?
What girl? What?
Dude, she
Did I say
said.
that?
Yeah, I think that's
What's happened? Did you?
Oh, Mr. Flossie coming.
Oh, Jay Flossie.
You gotta rewind.
Right,
gotta hear the
she just said you moved to 18, you break the mold. You didn't have to fall into what everybody said you had to do. I rest my case.
Right.
So why the hell are you crying while you walk down the aisle?
I gotta see the red table. I don't know. Y'all life is perfect.
No, it's not.
No
It's
problem.
It is not, which is why I'm able to ask these questions, because I've lived some of this story.
You can't understand nothing she's saying.
I didn't say I couldn't understand it. I'm saying it don't add up.
How are you?
I don't mean to interrupt y'all. How y'all doing? This is my partner, Wayne. That's Jackie.
I don't have a chance.
I know, huh?
Tanya.
Player made it in his eye. How are you?
We'll come back and do a show with y'all.
Oh.
Lloyd, what size shirt you wear, Lloyd?
Extra large.
I got one in the car, so I gotta go back in the car. So there.
What does it say? What is that?
Player made. Okay, then, before you go there, you got a football player. You got a basketball.
Player.
You have a hockey.
Player.
Okay, you get the concept. But if you're a player, so
You got a
each his
girl.
own.
You got
Floss the balls.
No, we're gonna come back and do the whole show with y'all.
You maybe gonna tell
Yeah, we
people
did.
about your.
We've been to Texas so all day. I'm so damn tired.
Tired. You have an 8,000.
I'm gonna go to the car and get you extra large. I got you. What size you wear, man? All right, I got you.
Can I have a hug and have a preview in
Yeah, I asked you about I asked about it all the time. All y'all be I've been busy. This just fell in my lap and it took off.
That's good.
I'm so happy. I
We
want
just
you
did
to
it.
come and talk about it.
We gonna come. So next week, whenever y'all ready. Faith, we're gonna try it next week. We come do the show with it next week.
All right, we'll be right back.
I'll be in town.
Yeah, we done just
Okay, let's do it next week. We'll be here.
Go back to Jada the Punk. Go back to Jada. Go back to Jada the Punk.
Alright, so back up. This is Jada on her.
Jada the Punk.
I didn't say that. I'm just using her
You ain't
words.
no gangster, you a punk.
Alright.
I didn't say she was a gangster.
Go rewind what he's saying just a little bit so I can hear.
Okay, so I'm gonna rewind just a little bit.
Okay.
And
Now listen.
You could
But you
move to
listen.
LA when you were 18 and break that mold, and that you didn't have to fall into the pattern of everyone around you. And at the same time, secondly, what was it that made you believe that that would solve it? That was what was missing?
Thank goodness along the way, I had great mentors like Donald Hicken, at Baltimore School for the Arts that was like, Jada, you've got more talent in the pinky of your little pinky than most people have in their whole bodies, that he forced me to go, into that audition for North Carolina School for the Arts. And that's what got me out of Baltimore, so that I could just get away from that lifestyle and break that mentality, right? And then once I got immersed again into my arts, I was like, wow, I really love this. And once I click into something, like my mind goes, pew, you know what I mean? And then Pac came to LA. Well, he wasn't in LA, he was in Northern California. And Pac kept saying, you got to get out here. It's popping. You know what I mean? And now he's like, you got to come out here and visit. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to get out there. Pac was another one too that was just like, you got it, Jada, you got it. And I'm like, all right, I'm coming, So I told my mom, I was like, you got two choices. Because I still wasn't quite sure yet, I was like, I could go to LA and see if I can do this Hollywood thing, or I could become a lawyer and take all my dramatics to the court, right, to the courthouse. And she said, we're going to LA.
Wow.
Once I got to LA, I was like, you're here. Make it happen. And part of what made me think that I could do it wasn't just about talent, but was just my perseverance and just my go. I'm a pit bull when it comes to when I want something, especially in my youth. I'm not so much a pit bull anymore. But in my youth, once I put my mind to something, I was like, go get it. And I really felt like how everybody else feels, like, once I make it, once I'm rich and famous, all my problems are going to be solved. You know what I mean? My problems are going to be solved. My mom's problems are going to be solved. Everybody's problems are going to be solved. I got this. You know what I'm saying? And that was a trip, because that wasn't the case. And I think that that's still prevalent. People feel like once you get to a certain level of success, you are exempt from the human experience. You are exempt from the human condition. And the truth is, that is not the case. And let me tell you, I had an existential drop in realizing, hold it, wait a minute. Hold it. Like, my career is popping. I got money. I'm hot.
People are pursuing you.
I got every dude everywhere wanting, you know what I mean? Like, I can have anybody I want. Why am I not happy? God, now this wasn't the plan. I couldn't believe it, because that was the whole idea. You make it. You pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You make it, and life's great. And thank goodness at that particular point in time, I had Pac that I could go, like, we could share that together, because he was going through the same existential disappointment. He thought the same thing. That was like the beginning of just like, wait a minute, then if it's not this, then what is it?
It's incredible. Like, you had a supportive friend in Tupac. You had this amazing friend who was saying, you've got this, you're talented. And that can really help.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's a whole nother inner journey that has to happen with it. So that was externally, it was empowering, it was inspiring, it was great to have someone believe in you. And we all need that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it was like this other reminder of
the inner world was not together
at
all, and being completely ignored. You know, and it would take me years to realize that, oh no, it's not just about what's happening on the outside, Jada. But if your inner world is not your foundation, it's all sandcastles. You
know. Remember that song by the Time Sandcastles in the Summertime?
I do.
You go, sis.
Okay.
I know, y'all.
Okay. So having to choose between being a lawyer or actually coming out here to LA to pursue a dream of being an actress. And then you get out here, you find success. In her own words, I got the money, I got the fame, I'm hot, I can have any guy that I want. That got them knocking on my doors. In fact, I'm trying to knock each other over just to get to me. Why aren't I happy?
What? You guys, this is turned out to be such an interestingly dramatic and emotional show just talking about it. So just imagine when she's going through, Lord Jesus. I mean,
why aren't I
with everything in your hand?
Because happiness is not external.
Right. In fact, it's internal. And
there you go.
Man, she's had a lot of things that have happened to basically misconstrue what she thinks is happiness, because everything that has happened in her life has not been happiness. It's been sadness.
But what about the children, Tanya? Can we ask about that? What about do they bring her joy? Jaden and Willow at some juncture?
Jaden and Willow and Trey and everything. And I think at some
do
point,
they not?
I think they do. And I think at some point, this is just me throughout there, Will brought her periods of happiness, right? I think there had to be some periods of happiness.
Hey, I would hope.
But Tupac was her support system, especially. Tupac was the reason that she really wanted to come out here.
The reason she wanted to come was to make money, because the teacher said she had more talent in her finger than anybody she's seen, and that's going to solve the drug problem, the money problem, and all those problems.
But the main support that she had, that was Tupac. Her main support.
But see, let's talk.
Coming out
here. I think this is the thing. I think when she talks about, I took some notes so I can stay of course with you.
Oh my goodness, I'm just being the.
What you think? No, I'm just saying. I'm trying not to be so negative.
But I think what happened is that we underestimate the power of friendship in a relationship. And Tupac was a better friend to her than her own husband.
I could see that happening.
And she drew from that, and she needed that, and she saw that, and she wanted that, and she was not getting it from Will. And that, I think,
she don't even know Will right now, right?
Once you get that connection with someone,
it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
The light just does this. Mm-hmm. The furnace.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
I'm just go ahead.
And
so I'm just saying, I've seen women who have a connection with the man, and then they get married, and they look for that connection that they had with this man and their husband. With their husband has become a sexual, romantic connection, but not a friendship. That friendship, emotional connection is second to none. And that's what she had in Tupac, and that's probably the imbalance in her own marriage, because she needed that in Will and she didn't have it.
Now, we can actually hear what she had to say about her friendship with Tupac.
But actually, you knew there was so much more to it. How were you able to allow that to unfold? Because I think so many of us get so scared if we're not into someone, we go, okay, I'm just going to push them away.
Yeah.
Or that person eventually tries to make a move anyway. But here it was like this beautiful respect, you both created that.
Yeah, we both did. We both had the intelligence. We were both really young. So I thank the Great Supreme for this too, that there was no physical chemistry between us. I mean, literally. It was like, and it what I try to explain this to people. It was the same for Pac. It was just like when I dared him to kiss me, he was, I mean, it was like, ew, for us both, right? And it's like, how can that be? How can you feel so connected to someone of the opposite sex? There was just this beautiful understanding. You know, when you can just sit with somebody in a room, and you don't have to say a word.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just this level of comfort.
Yeah.
We just knew each other.
Mm.
The moment Pac saw me and our eyes, and I saw his peanut head across the room at Baltimore School for the Arts, it was like I knew him already.
Mm.
We just got each other. I just understood him.
Mm.
In that understanding, and he understood me, so we could pull each other's coattails, but we could also join each other. When I talk about that joining, when you can sit with somebody and really feel like they see you, they understand you, they care about you, and they're going to be there by you no matter what. That was Tupac.
Mm.
Didn't she marry him in Rikers if they had that bond? I'm just all over the place.
No, I agree.
Okay, so
To be by you, to be your rock.
There was no pheromones. Jay.
There's no pheromone.
there's no pheromones of love.
She wasn't gonna be getting no D nowhere.
Right. Okay. So let's just unpack that, because the level of friendship that they had, it's like theoretically is like what you would want, that type of like connection in a relationship. That's what you would theoretically want. They just didn't have the physical side attached to it. So it's just like when it comes to being in a relationship, you want that type of connection plus the physical type of connection to actually make things come together. Now, it's apparent that Will, although he was able to make the physical connection, he wasn't able to make the type of emotional connection that Tupac was able to make.
It would appear so.
And
It would appear.
and it's just like,
Okay, for 2 shakes of a lamb tail, can we just
okay,
insert Will a little bit? What must that be like? That
you're compared to
this
Tupac.
man has been dead for damn near 30 years.
They just found
And
his
we
killer.
are still trying to, he's still living in Pac's shadow when it comes to his wife's affection. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That's
So
why
you
many
don't,
people-
I know straight up, I'm not going to be sitting here married to who I'm married to and then get up here and talk about, in the bond I had with you. I'm just not going to do that. Unless I'm
Maybe
trying to
you
sell a
are
gang of books. I'm just saying.
If you've been apart for 13 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the
I
difference.
don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. The whole
I'm just saying
the
for
whole
him to be
Tupac
still be living
thing,
in shit.
I don't think is authentically happy. I don't
Why
know
you
if
still living on
she's
tour like a
telling
martyr ghost?
that. I don't know if you're telling us the whole thing there.
How do we know? Do we ever
She's
get any
definitely-
archival proof that Pac said any of this shit happened? Because you could be pulling shit out your ass.
Because he's not alive.
He ain't lying to dispute this shit.
No.
I'm just
Alright.
saying, because you've given us 3 little cattywampus she has on the straight up.
I think just at this point, Jada is just still trying to find
That happiness.
that happiness. And they've been separated, since?
But what happiness is that?
We don't know.
Um,
We don't know. I'm not
Isn't it a
her
choice?
psychologist to try to figure
Right.
her shit
But
out.
a psychologist can't help you find happiness.
Nope. All a psychologist can do is listen to what you are telling them and then give feedback based off of everything that they have just heard.
Our clarity, they lead, they guide you in a particular way, but you have to be open and willing to take the journey and to be guided.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
because
who-
if you go into therapy still just talking out the side of your neck, because I've done that in life. So I really wasn't getting help because I knew if I would have told what really was going on,
Right.
I would have ended up in a
I'm going to tell
completely
this
different
piece of
there you
it, but
go.
I'm not going to tell that
Right.
piece of it. It don't
because
work
I have
like
the
that.
forethought to know.
I don't think she went. Whoever she went to that he referred her to, I don't know, was some type of Indian. I still can't figure it out. But
There's
it was
probably
just
some
like
like
a
guru.
tear down. It was like she almost tore herself down to the bottom. I don't know what it was. And like a rebuild of herself. I haven't figured that out.
It sounds like a spiritual journey.
It was like a huge spiritual oneness journey to redefine and to understand herself. But I don't think she saw a psychologist.
Mm-mm.
Because one of the things that was said in here that I really liked when she talked to the guy and he names whoever this person is. And she says, ask him, so at this point in my life, do you think I should get a divorce? And he said, I wrote it down because I thought it was so powerful. He said, when you stay committed to the vows you make, you will find what you need to get you through. And she said, and that there, whatever it means, and she said, whoever don't like it, whoever it is, whatever, because it's her and Will's marriage actually. They're trying to find their way to make it through because in the beginning they decided that they would do anything that they could not to get divorced, whether it's traditional or untraditional matter. So I don't know if he's like a spiritual. I don't know what he is, but I don't think it's like a licensed psychologist.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be a licensed psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just
It just be someone that like you can actually talk to actually work through your issues and like I don't know. Some people still feel like she's still withholding secrets, which is just like that's going to be their opinion because like at this point, no matter what she says, she's going to be viewed as a liar right now.
At least she has the courage to do it.
But I'm saying, why would you go on TV and show that you are this? Why would you go on this stage? I mean, to sell the book is one thing, and maybe everybody has their own marketing. But you are really showing how fucked up you have been. She's really showing some of the fucked up decisions she's made. She really showing how just a lot of things about her. Why would you do all that?
Right.
What do you really gain out of that? Because she said when her and Will went to the table and they were going to talk about August and he backed out, she decided to go for it because that needed to be what she said. She wanted to do it. And she ran the risk of being named as the worst adulterer in the world. Everybody was shaming her, blaming her, and they both knew that the decision between both of them was to separate and get and date other people. But of course, Jada still protected Will's image because he wasn't Rick.
Well,
right?
here's the thing that I don't understand. Because you're not protecting his image. You would protect his image at the time when you talked about your entanglement. You would have said, but world, I want you to know, Will and I have been living separately, and we have an arrangement to see other people. But the ability to stay married and not divorced.
Not to.
Why? How does that help your image? It makes you look like a punk,
Miss Gangster.
right?
Right.
I don't get. Do you see what I'm saying? Those things don't.
But in
add
her
up for
mind,
me.
she wasn't looking like one because she was doing.
No, he's looking like
Oh,
one.
yeah, I agree.
He's looking like one.
Mm-hmm.
No dude I know
Mm-hmm.
is gonna be like, yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
like if like
that
we
was my
wanted to
girl
keep
had the
it-
entanglement with a homeboy who come to our house, and I know that cat. That's all good.
Baby.
I'm just saying. How does that make? How does that help your image?
No, like I'm like, yeah, because the image that people had of him during that was him being a cuck. Like that's a cuck right there. Like when you let another dude like sleep with your wife, and you didn't put not one hand or foot.
Because he was sleeping with other people.
All right, so here's a realistic approach.
I don't know. I don't think that helps the image.
It really don't.
But I'm saying that's what she was saying in her mind.
I don't know.
Right, but that's.
But we know she ain't stable.
Right, so.
Right. Okay. So
I mean, so we know that, but we know she ain't stable. But I'm saying that.
But she's
doesn't take
stable
away the
enough
fact that
to get
she's
on the
making good
air.
points.
She's stable enough to get on the air and say I had an entanglement. But she's not stable enough to say that the entanglement was an agreed upon action. Like an open marriage. That's not a brand new concept.
Right, and it's just
Right?
like that's something. That's
Or was
been
it that it would be
rumored
much
about.
more sexy and much more conversational for the red, green, blue, black table? For me to leave that other part out. It's that selective stuff we were talking about earlier. I'm going to tell you this part of it.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you that part over there.
Not that part.
No, not that part. Because that part is going to kind of not get the same
Right.
explosive
Right, because it's just like
advertising
it's always-
to keep me relevant. Because I have poured everything into his career.
Right, so it's like it's always been, like speculated that like they've had an open marriage. It's
Right.
never been like 100%. Oh, it is confirmed. In fact, when we heard it from Jada and Will specifically that they are in an open marriage. So so it's just one of those things where it's just like they never said that they were
But
open
the
marriage.
question is why? Why?
Why what?
Why not say that?
She said they've not had an open marriage. She said the things that they did, they were not together. I'm just telling you what the
Then
lady
just
said.
say that. Then just say during the.
But what's the difference of some? I want to be honest. What's the difference of somebody living in the house together, acting like that they're together, than somebody living together separately, acting like that they're together?
It's a huge difference.
But why?
Right.
Who cares?
No, absolutely.
I mean, really.
Who
I mean,
cares?
we're having a table talk, but who really freaking cares?
Well, apparently, lots of people who are on Facebook,
But
Instagram,
I think that's my
and
point.
TikTok.
But I think that's my point. After I listened to her, I'm like, the point she's making is relevant. People
Well, see, I
do
think
it
the
all
difference
time.
is-
Who cares?
Right, but the difference is, some people, if you're still in the house with that person, right? I got to see your ass every day. I got to hustle through whatever I got to hustle through. I got to pretend that we cool every day. I got to make sure my kids don't get wind of that. I want to cut your throat in the middle of the night every day. But if you go and living over there and I'm living over here, we Gucci. It's all good,
baby, baby.
That's the difference. Because
We
the
just
real G
together
is
on
staying in the
paper.
house.
We just together on paper,
See you when I see
but
you.
like we're not physically together. With them two being still physically together, but technically separated.
They're not physically together.
No, but like on paper, and then in the public eye, they are still together. That's the main thing with Jada and Will. In a public eye, they were still technically
Because
together.
that was intentional.
Right. In fact, I'm going to
And
actually.
she wants to insult my intelligence.
Who?
Jada.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was intentional because they wanted to keep up his image.
Miss.
His image has gone down the drain.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. In terms of
Literally,
image.
since the
Y'all mark my
entanglement,
word.
his image was already going in a spiral. The slap literally tanked his image.
Like, come on, what the fuck are you doing?
Literally,
And then
he lost
You go up here and slap
a
the
lot
shit
of
out of
shit
somebody on the
because of
night
that
you win the
slap.
Oscar, and this bitch talking about,
Right, because we live together. We don't live
bitch,
the
I'm gonna
same
slap
space.
fucking you now.
Alright,
How about that?
so-
Slap your ass.
So
Just saying.
okay, so here is her approach to love and marriage. Holy shit!
That people get blurry because they're looking at it through their lens.
Yeah.
But you both have been so clear
Yeah.
about stages of your relationship internally, which I
They have not been clear about the stages of their relationship. They've been liars for the past, 13 years?
They've been clear to each other.
They wasn't even clear to each other because she got her ass at the red table talking about an entanglement.
Right.
If we can see other people and we live
Then
apart,
I'm not
entangled.
I'm just out here getting my freak
I'm
on.
just saying, I'm just doing me.
I'm just getting
Not
my
even
freak
her.
on,
Right.
with the
Which is
individual-
allowable.
Wait,
'cause
wait.
With my son's friend.
Right, Right. With my son.
He's 18.
Yeah, he
Who was 18.
He's 18.
Who was going through.
Shelly love the kids.
Wait.
Shelly C. love the kids.
Shut up! August was going through the same shit that I was going through at that same age. So I felt a connection to this person. And so then I decided within my adult goddamn mind that you know what?
But you know the men are
we have
but you know
such this good chemistry.
The men are saying they don't care who she was. She should have kept it to herself. Stephen A. said it don't matter who you had an affair with. You shouldn't have brought it out in the public.
Yeah.
The thing about it is she shouldn't have brought it out. But I think something I didn't read so much and I got confused. I think she was trying to they were trying to get ahead of what he was doing in the songs. He was 18 and angry because she had flipped him out, turned him out. And so he was coming forward, which was getting ready to destroy the notion that they were still together. So that's why they came to the table, because he was singing and Jada and Will fuck you in the songs, wasn't he doing all that time?
Yes,
and so
he was.
She had to say something. What you gonna do, Lori? What you gonna do,
Get
Lori?
that nigga taken care of.
I mean,
Tell me what you gonna do, Lori.
Hit or get hit.
What you gonna do?
Will has connections within the music.
Lori, what you gonna
with
do if you're the president of USC and everybody thinks you and Eric together? You done had a little entanglement and he's singing at
But you know, see, this is the part.
What
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand up like Sarkeesian did that night when we were there. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say it's not an entanglement, guys.
I'd never touched that man.
Eric and I have been apart for 13 years. I'm living my life and he's living his.
But then why the fuck are you kidding?
You would not say that, Lori. You would not, Lori Fisher. You would not get up there after everybody. Eric is at every show, every dance, every dinner at the president's house with you. All this stuff.
Absolutely, because it goes to a point of integrity, in my opinion, right?
But
Lori.
It's much worse to have this entanglement as a liar than to say we didn't make it. Lots of folks aren't together.
Because you're right.
Lots of folks aren't together.
Because the first thing I said is, well, Jada, if you had said that at the table, we wouldn't have been looking at you, little scandalous.
Exactly.
Right? That's true.
But it's still fucked up to me because you're fucked with an 18-year-old that wasn't.
Who cares? He's grown.
No.
Shelly would say disagree with you.
Hold on. I didn't finish.
Okay.
I didn't finish. An 18-year-old that's not all up there in the fucking head. He's still fucked up.
Right.
He's going to you for help.
She was fucked up too.
She's messed up too.
Right. So literally,
Everybody carry their own bag.
You know, they
two broken pieces. Y'all both broke.
And she said, they said that sometimes you get mentally stuck at the age of your trauma.
Yep.
She might have been fucking 18 too.
I've been 18 all this goddamn time.
Yep. And so she found the fountain of youth in August, and now he out here.
But I don't think she slept with him with the intention of this gonna be my
right,
basically.
Hard dick. That's all that was. August was telling the story. She said, "Oh hell no, we got to get to the table, Will."
Right, because
you know,
I have been like, nah, that nigga had a dream. He don't know what
was taking
he's
Will in the house.
Admit what?
He said, "Please stop taking me. My social image is everything to me."
Yeah, I saw that clip. Because you up here want to argue and be
about the council,
about the, you know what I'm saying? My social image. I don't want people to know what I'm. Cut it off. I done told you
remember that time?
Cut it off.
Yeah, he did tell it.
Right?
Cut that shit off.
Yeah. His social image is everything.
Did they look like they was getting along then?
Even though, why was you even fucking taping
Why
this
are you
shit?
even doing that?
Yeah, that's why he was told it. He said, why are you even, he asked the bitch, why are you doing it? So much, you know I'm finna cuss your ass the fuck out, so why the fuck is
why would you do that?
I'm from West Philadelphia, born and raised. I still got together in my ass from back in my day. What are you saying?
Will was raised
right
that he was
because there's some ends that are not adding up. You know, it's like You know
You
that.
know what?
You know, she knows when she put that shit in his face, he was gonna tell you stop filming that shit. You know that.
Right.
Why are you doing
Like he said, bitch,
that?
I get paid
Because-
to do this.
Right.
And you was putting this shit on fucking Facebook, bitch. I'm just saying, so how are you diluting my image? What are you doing?
But probably.
I'm
part of
just
her-
saying.
Probably
For
part
real,
of-
right?
But you know what? She thought. I believe. See, so I believe
I
when
was trying to
Chris Rock.
rationalize this crazy
When
woman.
Chris Rock called her, so this is another story that Chris Rock
Is that
called
a
her.
true story?
I think it's true. Because I think it's true. Chris Rock called her and said, "Hey, Will, hey Jada, you know, I hear you and Will is divorced." Because somebody in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
You know,
same story.
can we go out? She says, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. Sorry." I believe she told Will that.
She probably did.
Okay. I believe she told Will that. So you talk about that, and then what he said about it before, and now you talking about G.I. Jane, and then you talking about this, and now you trying to get your wife back, and everybody think you're punk Will, and all this stuff. And now he has a moment that he can't take back ever in life.
Yeah,
Right?
he literally had a nigga moment.
I mean, that's beyond a nigga moment. He had a moment that he can never ever recover. He can never recover from that.
I don't
Not too many
understand the
people recover
moment.
from a nigga moment.
I don't understand the moment. We've been apart for 13 years.
See, that's what I'm saying. Some shit just don't make
But see,
sense.
they wasn't apart. None of us knew they was apart because if you look at his Facebook, her Facebook, they was always
That
together.
doesn't matter. They knew when they drive home,
That's public
they go to two separate spaces.
Yeah, but you
So
know
I don't understand.
You on the left wing, I'm on the right wing.
Right.
No, they're not even on the
Listen,
same property.
They from Compton. I'm not. If I'm seeing Joe 4 times a week and not living with him, I'm still feeling a little something from him. These niggas probably can do
I'm
that every day and not feel nothing. Me and Jada got a heart. Our heart is red with a little black dot. Their heart is black with a little red dot. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Hub City,
Look,
baby.
Pretty much.
I'm just saying.
We don't go out like that.
So, you know, they faking it, but they still in contact with each other with their kids doing stuff. You know, so they're still, especially for the person that don't want the divorce, which was Will, he still got some emotions.
Will didn't want
He
the
did not
separation.
want it.
No,
He
I don't
did
want
not want it. He never wanted that to happen. He never wanted her to leave. He never wanted her to separate. He never wanted none of that. And for the person that's still hanging on, they got some heart. Unlike you know the people I'm sitting around. You know what I'm saying? They attached. And so he going through.
It's not that I don't have a heart. I'm just like, keep it real. Be authentic. Authentically happy. Well, be authentically truthful.
I'm just saying, all that on a person, and then she didn't embarrass you. People think you a punk. All this you holding in, motherfucker got to break at some goddamn point. He just picked the wrong time to break.
Literally, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
But like, he picked the worst time to
He
have
did.
a really bad day.
He did, and then he did Emancipation, and nobody watched it.
Nobody watched it.
Except Chris Rock.
Because he
Beat him again.
at the comedy special. You already, but you know, and it was moments in this video that I felt like Jada was a true, like her heart was real, that she was really working on herself. Because she said at the end, Chris Rock came to her and said, Jada, when this happened, he was like, I'm so sorry. And she said she had to hold on to that moment, especially when she started hearing all the Netflix stuff that he was saying. She said, because that Chris, who he was right after that incident, was really how he felt compared to the Netflix. You know, he dogged him in the Netflix.
Well, I mean, you got to look at these people's occupation.
I mean, but I'm saying she said so.
He's
The
a
Netflix
comedian.
didn't, but he meant what he said.
It doesn't
I
matter,
think part
but
of
I
the comedian
can.
life is
I
some
can-
real shit about how they feel about
Oh,
it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
definitely. They just
Don't get
talk
mad
about
at me.
it in
Get
a
at
joke.
Jada. She the one that fucked the nigga. That's what Chris said, right? But she said she didn't let that bother her because when he came up to her afterwards and was like, Jada, I'm so sorry that this happened. She knew at that point that he sincerely was concerned and was upset. And was
Yes, I
And
believe
so she
that
hung
is
on to
very
that moment.
truthful and authentic. You know, I don't know. I who knows what went through Will's mind, but it's like someone who, as she portrays, is so desperately worried about their public image. I don't know, with the woman that you've lived apart from for 13 years, you snap because Chris Rock says a G.I. Jane comment.
I mean, honestly,
I
it's
think
like
it's bullshit stuff.
Chris Rock. He's been taking jabs at Jada
For a very long
for a
time.
very
Every
long
time he had the MC, and anytime he had the MC, and they're in the front row, he said something for
About
years.
her.
Yes,
For years.
It's been going on for a while.
And you never know the conversation that has come home. Like, you know what, Will? You know what?
So we could interpret that Will know or feel some kind of way that Chris
No, or
wants his
Jada,
wife.
Jada may be saying, damn, check your boy. Tell him to keep his name, my name out of his mouth. Something like that. Just like if I and one of Joe's friends, I'd be like, you know what, your friend made me feel uncomfortable. That's the second time you did. When you gonna say something? When you gonna say something? I could see how something like that could happen, and then you get a moment where it's like, if Jada was really struggling with this alopecia, which I didn't think she was struggling because she looked good to me and she was just on Facebook. That's what I was saying to myself. I didn't think she was struggling. If she was really going through all that, and they had some talk about all that, and he's making a joke about it,
I could see the level of sensitivity there. Absolutely.
And she said right before they walked in, Will had called her that morning and said, hey, I'm getting ready to get this award. Would you mind being my guest? And she said, I felt honored. And I said, okay. And that's why they weren't really sitting next to each other, because it was
right.
Because
their space.
She was a +1. Originally, Will was a 1, and then he had to have a +1, so they couldn't have a seat next to each other. And then so she went because she was like, "This was good for you, this, that, and the other." And she said, "Who's MC?" She didn't know nothing about it because I guess they have not attended the last one or something because of something that happened up there.
Right, when they were protesting.
Everybody was protesting, so she wasn't paying attention to it. And then she said that he's on the way. He was like, "It's Chris Rock." She was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." That's what she told Will on the way there. And her look at Will when Chris started talking was like, "See, I told you. Here we go with this shit." It wasn't Will do something. It was, "See, I told you. He's gonna start with this shit." And then I'm saying could have triggered a conversation, could have triggered this, because he's probably threw jabs at Jada over time, probably 10, 15 times, Chris. Maybe, would you say about 10 times over the course of...
I was like 20.
Yeah. And Will has probably never said nothing. And you never know what that talk has been like all those years going home. Like, come on, damn, why am I always the center of attention? Well, now since he's calling and asking for a date, you know probably why. Why he liked her, why? And so all that, and then now
because she fucking,
and that all that, and now when you think me and my wife are divorced, you call her and ask her out because she didn't told me that, right? Now you're talking about her alopecias.
That's just bro code right there.
I mean, he shouldn't have did it there. He probably should have checked it, but that's just he needed to check Chris, but that wasn't that.
Right.
So all that shit was probably just.
It just.
And he needed, and then now she done embarrassed him with August. All this shit going on, and now he needs to prove that he was a man. That's just my thing. I don't think it's wrong. I think it's wrong that he did it.
All right, so here's what she had to say about why the marriage didn't end in a divorce.
What it is to love yourself and someone else completely with all that's divine, all that's human, all that's perfect.
That. Okay, go a little bit before
that. Like 2 minutes before that.
Okay, let me go here. All right, here we go.
So, and I'm not saying that everybody's relationship is supposed to be that. I'm not here to say that. I'm just saying that that's what my relationship is. That's something I desire to get to a deeper part, a more spiritually sound, emotionally sound, and really understand love unconditionally. And the thing that I've learned about unconditional love, you can't really understand what unconditional love in ideal circumstances to really get to what it is to love yourself and someone else completely with all that's divine, all that's human, all that's perfect, and all that is deeply flawed, and have full acceptance for it all. I tell you, this is, marriage is not for the faint at heart. It's just not. And it is definitely, I believe, different people get married for different reasons. So I'm not trying to say why anybody else should be married. But for me, the holy path of getting to a divine aspect of myself in partnership with Will. And it seems like Will wants the same for himself. And it's taken us, we got together at what? I was 23. Okay. 23 when I first decided to commit myself to Willard Carroll Smith. Lord Jesus.
So young.
So young. We were babies trying to figure this out. And you know what's interesting about young relationships?
People got married back then. I'm just trying to, I got fucking married at 22, 23. Shit. I mean, that's what you did. What are you going to do? You was banging them. You may as well.
Shut up.
I'm just saying. You just can't keep giving the coochie away. What you going to do? It's just me.
No,
you were the same age getting married, lady. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
But I can.
Hogwash.
I know. I can tell you. I don't know if my grandmother and them was happy though. I can tell you that much. They married young, but I don't know how blissful their relationships were.
I don't think age is going to have anything to do with a blissful marriage. I think because sharing one thing, I don't know if they've even said because it's so convoluted, but in my 30 plus years with the same cat, it takes a lot to share your life with somebody. Even if it's your sister, your cousin, your daughter, your nephew, it is a challenge to bow down here and assert there and move over and slide to the left, slide to the right. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, you know what I mean? It's a balancing act.
It is.
In my opinion. And because most things sometimes you do just overlook it. I know I've overlooked a lot of stuff, but you just...
And me too. And I think vice versa for Joe. I'm sure he's,
Yeah, vice versa for people. Because you have to, right? But I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, guys, but for the last 15 years, I didn't even live with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And then come on TV, well, I wasn't living with you. So who you was banging for these 15 years, really irrelevant. So what we even talking about? I'm just saying. But then she wouldn't be buying a book and we wouldn't be doing the Black Table Show tonight.
We would still be doing it.
It'd be another show. You just what's going on. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying. But I feel it. I
do. And people change. Your relationships change. You guys all know that because you've been in long withstanding relationships. And I think we need different things in our lives at different times.
For sure.
Right. And so at 23, we were all hustling and grinding and trying to make it. Right. So you're not focusing in on that, authentically happy. At 23, how many times did you ask yourself, am I happy?
I think
I was happy when I was 23.
Like, that's what
I was. I was riding high.
I think that you're doing what America wants you to do. You're getting married and this, that, and that. I think for me, it was hard going into a marriage and you're already pregnant and you don't get time to spend with your husband before you have a child. I think that's very hard going into that when you're trying to develop what a marriage is and now you have this little baby there that now you're focusing. And I do think that there's periods of your marriage that change where there's a part where everything is focused on the kids. Right. And your goal is to make them successful. And if you don't be careful and try to maintain your partnership, you have to look at that differently once they leave.
Well, I think that's inevitable. Right?
Some people
inevitable.
Balance that differently. Right. Some people balance that differently. Some people balance. Joel and I did it very early. We tried every 3 months to kind of go somewhere. Then life consumes you, and you can't. You try to date. You try to do that, and that's why people.
And you don't know what your children are going to. In my opinion, you don't know what your children are going to need.
You don't.
Right. You don't know as you're on that parenting journey. Right. But I think when they leave, then you have to have that space of reconnection. Right. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think I'm not. I don't know. I don't understand you living over there and I'm living over here. But, we're still so connected. I don't
But
know
I don't
if we're
understand
so
living in the
connected.
house together. I know a couple that lives in the house together and consciously dates other people while living in the house together. That I couldn't live with that. I couldn't live with knowing that we're together and dating. That would bother me. I'd rather be separate. I don't want to see you doing it.
Right.
You know, I just don't want to see you doing it. If that's what we decided to do. Because if we had to, I don't think they financially have to stay together. If we had to financially, but I have a friend to this day. Her and her husband live in the house together. He stays in one room, she stays in another room, and they don't want to get along, and they date.
Mm-hmm.
That would be harder. That would be harder for me.
They must really not have much feelings left for one another. Clearly, like you said, maybe it's just nobody
think
wants
it's
to get the
financial,
divorce.
yeah.
And nobody's moving, so fuck you and fuck you. Apparently,
It always
just
comes
like,
down
damn.
to this. It's with these two. The fuck you.
I mean, but it has to be. I mean, just think about that.
I've gotten
for
tougher
2
in my
minutes.
life because of these two. I'm just letting you know.
Life bit us in the ass real early, so it was either shit, sink or
telling you,
swim.
I really have. They've brought some toughness out of me.
Lord, I don't know. I think maybe we need to do a show on evaluating our critical reception of people's critical reception of us. I know.
Oh no,
I think
it's not bad.
I think we might have a reputation that precedes us right now. I got to work on my image.
No, it's not bad. I think it's something that, I'm glad that I think it's something that you more women need.
What's that part, T?
The ability to shift an emotion.
Mm.
And I think that it comes with experience and it comes with pain.
Yeah.
And I think that I gained it later on in life, where maybe you guys had it earlier in life.
Lori and I
what mean?
talked about it a couple of times. And I kind of think that, but me, it's, I think with all due, I think, Tanya, losing daddy so early. Me and Lori have talked about it. Really, when I've analyzed being the age that I am now, and I think daddy, like I said, losing daddy so early, and what we had to do, like to literally, we had to just take care of mommy. And it was just all that, just for real. I mean, from that moment on, it was just about getting money. And not in a bad way. I know that may sound rough.
It don't.
But it was just like, we gotta get this money, man. Come on, sister, you too close. You at the finish line. We gotta make this happen, and whatever we gotta do to make that happen. And it's like, Lori, you finishing, and I'm gonna drive that engine and make it finish, and then we just figure the shit out later. I think we just was thrown into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, and I prayed about it, and I've seen it. Because I know for a fact, my father just was cut off. Right here, I see you this morning. We good. Everything's great. I go to work, and I come back, and you're being trotted off, and you're dead. So everything, my security, everything that I knew at that moment, okay, that's why I said I've been traumatized since I was 18, if that's the case. Because every piece of safety that I've ever known on the planet just cut off like a piece of fucking sugar cane. I used to watch my grandmama cut sugar cane down in Florida. She'd take this machete and just cut that shit like it was nothing. And that's how I felt that night when he came in and told us that Luther Ray is no longer with you. I'm like, he was just cut off. So if I could found a way to live 40 plus years with that kind of love just being cut off. Not a sickness, not just gone. You think I give a fuck about a nigga?
Mm-hmm.
Because you see what I'm saying? Because that's what the world did to me. It said, fuck you. The most precious thing I had, and took it.
This is fun. This is good talk because, so let me tell you my story. My mom and dad divorced. I started and my dad was always in my life. He was a functional alcoholic, never missed a beat, would take me places. And then
you got 30 seconds.
I know.
We could
to be continued.
You can cut it off and I'll tell the story because I don't think you guys know it. And then I got to know him in junior high school and high school. We rekindled. Joe and I are together, and I'm now 20, pregnant with Joy, and don't know it. And my dad is thinking, me and Joe, we have been hanging out with my dad. My dad is now thinking that he has food poison. So he goes to the job that I'm working at now, Kaiser West LA. They don't have any beds. They airport him to Daniel Freeman, my first job. And he goes into surgery. And Joel and I are walking into the elevator with him, and he's going into surgery. And he reaches over, he says, and he holds Joel's hand, and he says, whatever you do, take care of my baby girl. And he goes into surgery, and he dies. He never comes out. This is within 2 days. And I think for me, when he said that, I put all my trust in Joel. Because he put all his trust in Joel. And Lori, and you guys know, and it was a point in my life that every decision that I made, I ran by Joel. Because my dad put all his trust in Joel. And my dad was not like that with any fella that he met. He was like, who's this? But something about Joel, when he grabbed Joel's hand and said, please take care. And Joel made this joke to this day. Who's your daddy? Who's your, funny stuff like that. But he said, he grabbed Joel's hand, and when he was like going in, and he's bringing, he said, please take care of my baby girl. And so that was my shift of my dad leaving. See, like him giving the responsibility to Joe. And I didn't even know I was pregnant. Didn't know I was going to marry Joe. Didn't know that. But then when I was pregnant, and so then I was pregnant, I was thinking, I didn't want to get pregnant. You don't have to be with me. We don't even have to be together. I don't care what happens. Joe was like, I'm not going to leave you. Right? I'm here to take care of you. And we got married eventually. And then he became the person that I depended on so much. And then I gave everything to. And so then when I see her, when I see this at 40, like, fuck you, then I had to go through like, but what about me? What about me? Right? And so that's the part that I can relate to. So I can see your story, how you could be like that. But my story is how I can cleave on and attach and give so much to somebody who I think is just always taking care. And today, I mean, it's funny. We're in Costco and